Like, hey, where's Scooby?
Where's Scoob?
Like, I don't. It's not what I say.
Like I say,
I-
zoinks, man.
You're saying zonks. Just adjusting the levels here, man.
Oh, gee, Rick. Oh, gee, we're just adjusting
Rick,
the levels.
I don't know. You know,
When I talk really loud, I gotta start peeking.
we're just peeking a little bit. Just a bit.
But
Not the
but
best.
but it's okay now.
Getting about you keep talking.
To keep talking. What do I talk
Talking.
about? You put me on the spot now. I don't know what to talk about. What,
All right,
what am I
you're
supposed to
lucky.
say?
You talk about shaving. I
Shiva.
watched a safety razor tutorial from a Scottish guy yesterday.
You use a safety razor.
I've got one. I didn't really know how to use it
It's kind
until
of.
yesterday when the Scottish man taught me how to.
It's probably the scariest razor you could use,
What do you mean?
besides a straight razor.
It's not scary at all. That's why it's called a safety razor. If you like, it's literally impossible to cut yourself with it unless you're really, really stupid.
Huh.
It's called a safety razor because it's hard to hurt yourself with.
I see. And yet, you can still get some kind of nasty cuts.
I mean,
Well, if you're bad at it, sure. But yeah, safety razors are legit scary though. I'm not
Mhm.
safety razors. Straight razors. I would never want to do that. Like
You're basically holding.
that's like my jugular. Oops, gone.
Yeah.
Bye.
oops, there goes my blood.
Look at all. Oh, that feels bad, man. Look at all that blood.
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 We've got to put a stop to blood gum.
Oh yeah.
I've got all over my bloody razor.
But that's just how he woos people.
Is that? I that was a word I was just trying to figure out how to pronounce when I was reading Aragon.
Blood gum.
Bloodgarm, yeah. It's like because it's like a D. It's like a GH, like blood. G.
BL
GH.
umlauted OD.
Bloodgarm.
Blood gum.
Mm-hmm. There are a couple other words in there too. It's just like my brain was just struggling to wrap. I was just trying to wrap my mind around it. Can't recall off the top of my head.
Vice hail.
Yeah.
Which literally means good health.
Yeah.
Get good.
Get good.
Get
scrub.
better.
You go to the hospital and you're like, get good.
Magic powers
Yes.
make you get good.
I love it how. Well, I was gonna say they basically have like mage bomb teams that go around and
Yeah, more or less.
undo spells on things.
And also sit there in mind battles with each other.
Mm-hmm.
They just stand there until one of them dies.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like to the normal soldiers who are all outside, actually swinging at each other with swords and hammers and axes and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we always do this?
What?
Where we lead people on
Like
about
we're
what
talking about something
Talking about a
like-
completely different thing.
And now for something completely different. Today we're talking about Monty Python. We're going to do a deep analysis into the comedic genius that is.
I'm not sure we could.
No.
No?
It's like it's either funny to you or it's not.
Yeah, you watch.
Yeah.
The quest for the Holy Grail is you watch it. You like it.
It's
Right,
either the funniest thing you've ever seen or the most stupid, annoying thing you've ever seen.
And now for the dumbest movie ever written. That's bad songwriting.
You wrote
Wrote
a
a
bad
bad
song,
song,
Petey.
That's good.
That's what they call a callback in the business. Except I don't think we actually made that reference in that
No.
episode.
No.
We just need to assume that
It's
they've
one of the-
seen the film because of our recommendation.
Or
Because
we'll have soon seen the film by the time this episode comes out for relevant people.
we're
For
like,
the two people that listen to our show.
Yes. Consistently.
Hi, John and Faith.
Hello.
hello,
We appreciate you a lot.
Yes.
you're our friends and we like you.
My friends, my friends.
I don't hate you.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that either.
No.
Have you finished?
I
Portal
have. I have.
2? You've finished the first one.
I finished the first one.
Okay.
You
Second
had
one's
played
good, too.
Portal 2 previously, hadn't you?
I
Or no,
I played a multiplayer level with Ben.
Okay. The second one also has good stuff. I think. Finish that one before we do an episode on it.
Yeah.
I should replay them. They're great.
Honestly, at this point, I could.
I have
probably
too many games to play to warrant replaying anything.
Yeah.
Despite how much I really want to replay stuff, I feel like half the time it's going to be I start it and I'm like, I'm not really as excited about this as I thought I was.
I'm kind of running.
That's how I've always been with replaying stuff.
Yeah.
There's certain games where like I grew up on it, so
where you just
it's
want that you have like that
nostalgia.
you kind of
factor.
crave you kind of crave that experience again. It's like, yes, this is why I love this game, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like every once in a while it's like I want to build a medieval army and conquer people. I'm gonna start up Stronghold again.
Man, Stronghold is such a fun time.
Yep. Manning siege equipment.
One of my best friends in high school, his last name was Manning. He's the guy I do all the antics with, like blowing stuff up that I've told you guys about.
Oh, yep.
And so, like, every time we would make some kind of weird explosive thing, I'm like, Manning siege equipment. And he doesn't, he
never played
doesn't
it.
play games, so he didn't get it.
Just
but-
imagine like he randomly comes across that game, starts playing it, and he's like, oh my gosh.
Manning siege equipment.
Do I have to? I feel like the archers.
Moving off. We are on our way. I convinced people in like middle school that I spoke Arabic because I could recite the lines from Struggle Crusader. And it's all fake Arabic.
Oh,
all
yeah.
of it. It's
It
just
is.
all made up. One of
Oh.
my Arabic friends that I used to work with was like, yeah, it's all just made up.
Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah. That would be.
Amerika Yumulai. Salin Akhatuhal.
Yeah, that doesn't sound real, does it?
There's one real thing that they say, and it's Salam Alaikum.
Yeah.
That's the only real phrase.
Mm-hmm. Gotta love the.
It's the horse riding bow mercenaries.
Yeah, those guys are fun, but really low health. Or not really low, but not the greatest.
We're not talking about that either.
No, we're not talking. No, we're not talking about the Stronghold series. I don't know that we could do an episode on the Stronghold
There's
series.
too much Stronghold to cover
Yeah.
in one go.
And I
And,
have covered none of it.
They
so-
don't really. I mean, they have stories, and yet
But
they
it's
don't.
all kind of like vaguely historical,
Yeah.
and it's not like anything profound or like a
No.
story worth talking about.
It's
Right.
the sort of game you play because it's fun for leisure.
Yeah.
It is very game centric.
Someday, Nathan, I will get your microphone level right.
What's wrong with me now?
I think.
Do you need to level me up?
Yeah, keep talking.
Okay, what do I talk about though?
All right, there you go.
Okay,
I want to talk about me.
Unless
let's
I'm-
give him something to talk about.
Nope, that was right. I feel like don't we do that every episode at this point?
Probably.
At this point, maybe.
It's fine. It's our
Subconsciously.
gag. We do it in real life too.
Which it's not actually our gag. We got it from A is for asthma.
Mm-hmm.
It's
But-
quality
Some
in YouTube
infomercial.
video.
High
Go look it
quality
up.
YouTube video.
Yeah, A is for asthma. If you see a thumbnail with a guy in a pink shirt and a mullet, you found the right video. And a mustache. I had a
We
friend-
should like put links to all the crap we reference in the description of the episode.
That would be a lot of
Actually?
work, but that'd be fun.
I mean, I would just have to start. I would just have to.
I
like,
mean,
as
one of
I
us is the podcast editor is currently
Right.
unemployed, so
Yeah.
he has the time to do it.
Thanks. We that could be as easy as like going
One,
in as
two,
I'm
three.
listening to it back to it, just writing it down as I go along.
Yeah.
Of course, with some of the things that's assuming I know the references because sometimes you guys say stuff I've never heard before. I'm a Luigi, number one. I miss doing Lego stop motion videos.
I miss doing Lego.
Yeah,
I miss.
I miss
I
do. I miss doing lines of Lego. and buildings.
The little white studs, you just line them up.
Goodness.
It would go down rather crunchy, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
Love the crust.
You know, with all chewing on them with all those nose teeth. Gosh, that would be awful.
I love the crunch.
Nose teeth. That sounds like a Lovecraftian horror creature with like nose teeth.
Or if you're being,
That
or
sounds
if you're northern
disgusting.
pike, it's like they have like these barbs in their gills, I believe.
Everything
that's
about pikes is just murder.
Yeah,
They are the most aggressive, I want to kill you fish ever.
yeah. Them and muskies, muskellunge. They're just very
Well,
aggressive
they're,
freshwater.
they are large.
They're like
but they aren't.
freshwater barracudas.
Yeah.
They just kill everything. And Nemo's mom. It's gotta go.
I feel like that song is going to be linked in every video from now on.
I'm pretty sure we don't have to do that one.
No.
I'm pretty sure anyone is familiar with it.
Fountains of Wayne. I made a Fountains of Wayne reference last night. We were talking about John Wayne. Yeah, his real name was actually Fountains. That's what I said.
Like his first name?
Okay, now I have to look up what his name actually was because I know his stage name wasn't. It's like it's kind of how
Well,
like
his
Mark
stage
Twain.
name was John Wayne, but his
Right.
real name is not Mark Wayne. Mark Wayne. John Wayne. I got Mark Twain and John Wayne all mixed together in my head.
Mark Twain wasn't even his name.
No,
Mark-
He had a
it's
different name.
Samuel.
Mark Wayne and John Wahlberg.
Mark Twain is like a nautical term or something for like depth.
Marion Robert Morrison.
Marion.
He was born May 26, 1907 in Winterset, Iowa.
Samuel Langhorne Clemens was Mark Twain's actual name. I knew it was Samuel, but I just couldn't remember his
Uh-huh.
surname.
Yep. He,
Where did you get fountains from?
Yeah.
John Fountains of Wayne.
I'm not familiar with Fountains of Wayne.
They're the people that did Stacy's mom.
You know that nobody knows the name of one-hit wonder bands, right? They just know the name of the song and are familiar with the song.
Yeah, but like when you look up the
Like,
song.
who knows who wrote, what the frick is the name of the song?
Freaking fricks.
Today.
That's Oasis.
I know that Oasis wrote it, but I can't remember the name of the song.
Wonderwall?
Wonderwall.
You only
That is
know how
totally
to sing
backwards from how
Wonderwall.
most people do it. They know Wonderwall, but nobody
Play
knows that Oasis
Wonderwall.
wrote it.
Play Wonderwall.
Is the rest of the music that Oasis put out is garbage.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't really recall ever listening to any of their other stuff.
I'm like, Wonderwall's a okay song. I'll listen to their discography, and then like 5 minutes in, I'm like, no, I'm not listening to their discography.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
It's
you
just
hear
not
Hall of Fame
good.
by the script, and then it's like, okay, this is kind of
The
fun.
script, their first couple songs were really good
Yeah.
back when they weren't sellouts.
But then
Like-
later they flipped the script.
They sure did.
Mm-hmm. I would have. I'm still sort of figuring out like how to play that piano riff for Hall of Fame. It's kind of tricky, actually.
When we were in Ireland at the conference we were putting on, like before every speaker came up, that was like the hype track. It's just Hall of Fame, like every speaker. It was like we made a
Just
meme
didn't
out
switch
of
it up at all.
Nope.
Where was this?
In Ireland,
Like which part of Ireland?
in Dublin,
The Ireland
Dublin.
part.
in Croke Park.
Yeah.
It's like
Dublin.
the big football stadium that they have.
So there was like a youth conference out there. You guys were.
It
part
was
of?
not a youth conference. It was
Just a-
everybody conference.
Ah.
It was like a SLS basically, but adults could come because Ireland doesn't
So like
have
SLS.
things like that.
Ah. They probably don't have the population to support it.
There was like 200 people there,
That's
and that
decent
was like
size.
the whole country coming to this thing. So everyone who cares just goes to Seek.
Yeah.
There's
That's
a
true.
whole bunch. There's a lot more people from Ireland coming to focus events in the States these days.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I was more or less part of starting that, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Nice. That's pretty cool. It's like, hey, this is pretty cool. You should come to this thing that I really enjoyed this winter. I wonder if they're even going to be able to have a focus conference this year.
I think by December
We'll
it'll
at least have a
probably...
clear picture of what's going on.
Right, yeah. They should know. Did they announce what city it was going to be in?
I didn't go, so I don't. I'm pretty sure they have. I just don't recall it off the
Was
top of my
it
head.
next year? Seek.
It's 20.
Clickety-clackety-clickety.
Well, this year would be SLS 20, wouldn't it?
No, this
This
yeah,
this is
St.
Oh.
Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis. That's right.
Seek can drink now.
Man, one of the most disappointing moments of my life was when at SLS 18, like Bishop Barron came up to give a keynote,
Bold speech.
and he's like, I had about 45 minutes worth of material prepared, and I was like, oh yes, but they told me I only had 18 minutes. I was like, oh no. But then he preached at the mass the next morning, so that was pretty good. The whole Jim Caviezel thing, like when he made that surprise appearance,
That was so
that was
freaking
so cool.
nuts. It
Yeah.
was so great.
yeah. It's like,
And he just like stared out into the crowd, just like
People-
with his Jim Caviezelness.
yeah, and
like-
like
Just like put out his hand for people to shut up when he was ready.
because people were cheering and were showing
They
no
were just
signs of
going
stopping.
nuts.
They were showing no signs of stopping. But yeah, he was promoting Paul, Apostle of Christ, so it made sense to do so in such a fashion.
Which I still haven't seen yet.
Me neither.
I need to get around to that.
People invited me to go to it. Like there was a group of people at our Newman Center that were going to go watch it in theaters with a couple of Dominican sisters who were up in town at the time. And I think I had to clean something, so I was like, nah. That's how a lot of things went.
Yeah.
It's mighty unfortunate.
But I had to clean something, so I
Yeah.
couldn't go.
Yeah.
That feel when you're the janitor of the Newman Center.
Sad janitor
gotta take
noises.
Sad janitor.
noises.
Sad mop noises.
Just James swearing softly to himself in his bedroom late at night. There were, I don't know if any people watch Rick and Morty, but that one clip of them like getting into the car after a very stressful
Morty.
after a very stressful
Gotta get in
adventure
the
and
car.
just like screaming and like wringing their faces just like
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
sheer stress. I had days like that every once in a while. I just like sit down on my couch and be like, ah.
You just start singing ferrets at the
Yeah.
top of your lungs.
Yes.
An apple pie, a bright blue sky, a breezy meadow in July.
Yeah.
We're not going to go through the rest of that.
We'll let you discover that.
We
on
would
your
lose
own.
our imprimatur
The ferrets.
that we don't have, and we can't because I don't know that audio things get imprimaturs.
Maybe if we wrote something.
If we
could
wrote
get-
something, perhaps.
Yeah. How do you get an imprimatur or
I
imprimatur?
think you call your bishop
Oh.
and say, hey, you're a successor of
I
the
know our bishop.
apostles, right?
I know our bishop
I know our bishop too.
can get an imprimatur. Well,
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 there's
there's no transition.
no
just
transition.
cold cut.
Hello, everybody. We're the Palladium Papists. I'm James,
I'm Nathan.
And I'm Riley.
and today we're talking about Sword Art Online.
No,
after,
we're talking about the skilled practice of bladed weapons was
On the
connected to the internet.
after
We were,
about
we were,
nearly 20 minutes of banter. We're finally getting to the episode.
That's great.
Yay.
This has been the best banter we've ever had, and I love it.
We're doing
We need to
good.
do this every week.
Okay. We'll make a note of
This is
that.
us getting good.
We'll make a note
We are-
to subconsciously do it.
Getting good.
Get good night. But yes, we are talking about that anime show.
That anime.
Yes.
and
Which we recently.
The power of
com-
Ow the Edge gets you through
Ow
any,
the edge.
gets you through any conflict whatsoever.
also holding a second sword does
Two,
Yeah.
not just one, but two.
two
swords
swords
at
at once.
Except for that one time where he
That
only had
just sounds
one,
like sword fighting
and that
with an extra
other
sword.
time where he only had one.
Because
was a
and there was
lightsaber.
the one time he had one because he had to have a gun.
And it
Also,
was totally not a lightsaber. But
They didn't like rip the sound effects straight
Directly
from
from
Star,
Star
Wars.
Wars.
It was not that at all.
we get ahead of ourselves here.
We do. So, for the uninitiated, I was going to mention that we recently got done watching this as a household.
At least the stuff
The-
that was on
as
Netflix.
as a three of us.
The first two seasons. I haven't seen the rest of it myself. I had watched it previously. But, yeah, I haven't seen the third season yet, and I don't know if it is as meritorious as the other stuff because
Yeah.
We haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it. I have no idea. From what I've heard, it sounds like more like the first bit, but we get ahead of ourselves once again.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What is this first bit you speak of?
The show is sort of fundamentally about video games and how they affect people in a very broad sense. It explores several different ideas in that vein. So right off the bat, we see the main character, whose name is Kazuto Kirigaya. His like in-game name is Kirito. So that's what I will probably refer to him mostly as.
Yeah.
The annoying thing about the show is that everybody has two names. They have their
Yeah.
real name and their in-game name.
Except Asuna.
Except Asuna, because she's unoriginal. But we'll get to that.
Lazy naming.
So right off the bat, we see him in this brand new game called Sword Art Online, which is this virtual reality multiplayer game using this Nerve Gear sort of helmet. It's like a brain interface that
Imagine VR if it knocked you out.
if it stimulated your brain instead of you looking into a screen that's attached to your head.
Yeah.
So there's like this very powerful helmet that can simulate images in your brain. So that's kind of the premise there. He was like one of the first 1,000 people to beta test the game, so he kind of has some experience. And he meets this guy named Klein, who he kind of shows the ropes a little bit. And they start to befriend each other and everything, and then Klein realizes, oh, I gotta log off and eat dinner, so I'll see you later. Thanks for all the help.
Yeah.
And then he goes to log out, but the log out button isn't there. And they're like, what? There must be a bug.
What?
What?
This must be a mistake.
Can't be true.
So shortly after that, there's an announcement made for everyone to congregate in the main town, and there's going to be some further instructions. So they all gather in this main town, and then the creator of the game, whose name is Akihiko Kayaba, tells them all that, yes, this is intended. There is no logout button. You are trapped in my game, mwahahaha.
Until you beat it.
Until you beat it. The only way to get out is for you to beat all 100 bosses in this magical tower that I've created, and then you get to leave.
And if you die in the game, you die in the real
If
world.
you die in the game, the nerve gear will fry your brain, and you'll be dead in
And
real
if
life.
people try to take it off, the nerve gear will fry your brain.
Yes, there's lots of imminent threat of the nerve gear frying your brain. So everyone gets transformed into their real life look. Like the nerve gear scan their face, and that's
So they go from their in-game avatar to what they look like in the real life.
yes, in the real life. So everyone's freaking out, and so some of the stronger players all get together and say, "Hey, what are we gonna do about this?"
What a wonderful kind of
Day.
Hey!
Sorry.
Hey!
With each other. Anyway.
They sort of form some parties and talk about their plan of attack, and
Because each floor of the tower they have to work up to the top to beat the game is there's like a boss at the end of it that they have to work
Yep.
together to defeat.
the bosses are understandably rather difficult. And since it's a multiplayer game, there's expected that a lot of people are there to fight it. So
Yeah.
they're sort of formulating a strategy to make sure that nobody dies when they're doing it.
And forming guilds and different like groups of people banding together.
And so there's this mysterious hooded girl named Asuna, as we later find out, that Kirito is alone and she's alone. So they're like, hey, you want to do a party? And they're
Trying to
like,
be alone together.
not really. And Asuna's like this. At first, she's very quiet and reserved and doesn't really want to talk to people. But slowly over time, she kind of warms up to him as he like teaches her some things and is generally a nice human being.
A
Imagine
nice
that.
edgy boy.
Yes, a nice edgy boy.
Yeah.
So they go to fight the first boss, and there's like another one of the beta testers tells people about some strategy stuff, yada yada yada. They go to fight it, and said beta tester guy dies in the course of the battle. And so a lot of people are really shaken by this because he's like, oh, this guy was such a great leader. He was really like guiding this whole team. He was very crucial to this effort. And they find out that Kirito was also a beta tester, and he's like, why didn't you share what you knew? We hate you now. And he,
Yeah.
for some reason, like,
He's like, yeah, you can hate me.
Yeah, you can hate me. I'll absorb all of your hate and become Edge. And to be honest, I'm not like super clear on why he did that.
No,
But
it's just like, well, look at
Because
this
it was
cool
the
dude.
edgy loner thing to do.
Like,
Yes.
I think I've heard it speculated like he was trying to protect some of the other beta testers by drawing attention to himself, so that they
Sure.
wouldn't be persecuted the same way he is.
Yeah,
But
which is something he would do.
which is something he would do because he's a very selfless kind of guy. But anyway, so he's kind of like, I'm going to be a loner from now on, and screw y'all, I'm going to do my own thing.
Bye.
Which in a game designed for lots of people to be cooperating with each other
It's a
doesn't
little
always work out.
counterintuitive, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not. But he does it, and he's very successful at it. And he is like, he still participates
He
in
develops a particular set of
a
skills.
very particular set of skills.
Sword skills, in fact.
Yes, because there's no other kinds of skills
Yeah.
in this particular game called Sword.
He
Or
doesn't,
Dawn.
I mean, doesn't really have a social skills, even like he picks
Nobody. These are all gamers.
Yeah.
Like none of them have any social skills whatsoever.
picks up chicks left and right without even trying.
Yeah. So the first
Yeah.
the first couple episodes are just him picking up chicks.
Yep.
It's
Doing
really
little
nothing meritorious to talk about.
No.
Just kind of fun adventures. He gets a sword.
He gets a sword made out of dragon poop,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Just
but
go
anyway,
along with it.
so they get to a point where they're working through the dungeons and stuff, and like he joins a guild like with a bunch of much weaker players than he does, than he is, and he like helps them out.
Because he really likes the way their chemistry and how they work together.
hmm But like they go try to do something that's a little above their level, and he doesn't tell them how strong he actually is, and they all end up dying for it.
Because like the enemies generated in the secret room are intended to fight somebody his level
Right.
and not these
So
people.
they are not able to contend with those because they're much too powerful. So he takes that really hard, and he blames himself for not being forward about that. And
Because those people are actually dead.
yeah, in real life, those people are dead. And so that's one of the main themes of this arc of the show is that, the stakes are real here.
Mhm.
It's not just, oh, if you die, you'll respawn 5 minutes later. No, people die in real life, and so there's some real grave consequences to stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets really serious about beating the game and being
be the very
best, like no one ever was. Bum, bum, ba-dum. Anyway, so Asuna, meanwhile, is also becoming a prominent figure in the assault team, and she's like very
She's like the second in command to this big, massive guild.
and edgelord Kirito is fighting on the assault team, but he still, does his own thing outside of that.
Yeah. Assault team being the people who get together to beat the boss.
Yes.
Right.
So they have some interactions because they're on the assault team, and they are like, this one particularly stands out where he's like just chilling in a meadow, just having a nice leisurely time. And Asuna finds him there and is like, "What the heck are you doing, bud? You gotta work hard and clear this game." And he's like, I think it's important that we just take a minute to sit down and enjoy nice weather like this. She's like, "What are you talking about? This is a video game."
Yep.
And he's like, "But is it? Does that discredit what it is? Does that make it not real simply because it's in this world?"
Mm-hmm.
Philosophical question. And so they have a little talk about what constitutes reality and what constitutes if the world they're in is fake or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then Asuna ends up taking a nap too and like wasting the whole
Without
day.
trying to.
Yeah, just sort of accidentally says, "This is nice. I might try a nap too." And then falls asleep for the whole day and is like, "Whoa, I am such a lazy slob." But that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of this nice way of promoting leisure. It's like, it's important that when you're doing this extremely mentally stressful, risking your life day in and day out thing, to like take some time to relax, just be, you know, you don't have to push yourself to your limit all the time.
Especially because it's taking them a while to beat this game. Like
I mean, they
Several-
spend a total of like 2 years.
Yeah.
Spoilers, they do get out later.
Yeah, the show probably wouldn't go on if they didn't get out.
Yeah.
Right.
But, so they eventually get they become infatuated with each other over time.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of come to this realization that they want to take a break from the front lines and get married.
In the game.
Because that's
Yeah.
Right.
it's fine. So whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of juvenile, but they're
Yeah.
also 17.
So yeah.
Trouble is, I know like a few people who are kind of like that.
I know more than a few people kind of like that. But anyway, so they find this nice picturesque cabin in the woods and our stereotypical perfect husband and wife thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they find this girl in the middle of the woods and they're like, "Oh, did you lose your parents?" And she's like, "I don't know anything. I have no memories." And they're like, "Ooh, spooky. We're going to adopt you." And so they interact with this girl, and they eventually find out that she's like a mental health support AI that the game was originally outfitted with
Uh-huh.
to be on release, but sort of repressed by the creators because they don't want people getting more help. They
Yeah.
just want to watch them suffer because they're evil, bad game creators killing
Yep.
people.
Yeah.
So they adopt this girl and name her Yui, who's actually a AI,
Mhm.
Yes.
Turns out.
and has access miraculously to all of the systems of the game, despite the fact that she was sort of repressed by them.
Yeah. She's
It's plot hole, but
stuff.
Yeah.
she's kind of the Deus Ex Machina
Stuff.
mechanic of the
She is the
of
That
show.
particular
She's the
episode, she's
machina.
the
This is
Machina.
the machina.
So they carry on fighting bosses and doing stuff, and then I don't remember exactly what caused this, but like Kirito challenges the leader of Asuna's guild to a duel to like win her freedom from having to be a leader in the guild, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. And so
And his whole deal is he has this shield and he's like this massive tank and he has very difficult for him to take damage.
yes.
Yeah.
And so Kirito on the opposite hand is
Like
very
all
strong.
offense.
He's all offense, has no defense,
To the point where his like unique skill in this game is having 2 swords out at once
Yep.
which nobody else can do. Only him,
because protagonist.
because protagonist.
Well.
They literally say that later, but we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
So he fights Heathcliff,
You are the chosen one.
and he it's a really intense fight and everything, but he lands a blow, but
Doesn't
what
do much.
happens, it does no damage, and there's this little pop-up that says immortal object.
Yep.
And so
Which previously had only been said about Yui.
and other there's certain
trees and things.
Yeah.
things that aren't supposed to get destroyed that are like programmatically protected by the game.
And he's like, wait a minute, you're just a dude.
This is fishy.
Yeah.
And so they go for a little while longer, and like Kirito eventually figures it out. The jig is up. He's figured out who Heathcliff is in reality, and it turns out that he's actually Kayaba, the guy who created the game.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, it'd be so boring to make all this game and have all this fun and not play it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to be here and play it
And watch y'all die.
because I am sick and twisted.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'll give you the chance. If you kill me, then
With the stuff turned off. Like
yes, I will deactivate my immortality. If you can beat me here, then I'll let everybody go.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was originally going to be the 100th floor boss.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So of course,
They were like maybe not even halfway at that
yeah,
point.
they were at
They were
like
like
77, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had a ways to go, but
Yeah.
they were getting there.
It was like 25 floors or something like that. Pretty close.
Yeah. So of course, his protagonist wins,
Yes.
and everybody gets to go home. Hooray!
Mm-hmm.
Except not.
Except no.
Except not.
Fun fact. No.
Fun fact. No. So after they get out, everyone wakes up in the hospital after 2 years with extremely long hair and fingernails
Mm-hmm. Because
and
it's not like people in the
muscular atrophy and all that good stuff.
hospital. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And So they recover and they do their physical therapy to get back in real life. And all of the kids that were playing they all go to this school to
Basically, catch up on the last 2
catch
years
up
of school.
and to be monitored
Yeah.
because they're probably
A little.
traumatized pretty severely. Some of them.
Because they knew people who actually died, and there are
Or
even a few
killed
people, a few people who were like player killers
Yeah.
that like went around and killed people because they didn't really think people actually died, and they're also sick, twisted people. So there's this Laughing Coffin was the name of this guild that would just go around and kill people.
More on that later.
Some
So
twisted stuff.
yeah, that's kind of the end of the first arc. So some of the things that I like and I think are important to note about this are the things that the game talks about in terms of death, like
Yeah.
and how that affects
Mhm.
people in an environment where that's normally not a stake at all.
Mhm.
Like
Right.
it's so far removed from what you would be expecting to be doing there. It's
Imagine Minecraft hardcore mode, but you actually die in real life.
like imagine insert name of game where you can die.
Yeah.
Like,
But like they
imagine Dark Souls, but you die in the game.
there certain people react different ways. Like some
Mhm.
people just choose to commit suicide because they can't handle the possibility of dying in there.
Yep.
And some people just hide in the first town where they're safe and never go out and
Yeah.
never make an effort to clear the game. And some choose to fight. So it's like when you're put under that kind of pressure, people will react differently. And it's sort of like, and of course there are some that chose to go around murdering others
Yeah.
for no reason. And it sort of makes this assertion that who you are in the game is who you are outside the game. Cough, cough. James, cough, cough.
Yeah.
I get after James about this a lot because the way he likes to play video games is a very
games.
some games where he just kind of screws around and like there's
Who would have
I know if I throw a bomb in this house nobody will get hurt by it.
Yeah.
It doesn't
But
matter.
they're
It
gonna
doesn't
throw
hurt
the
them.
bomb.
But he throws the bomb in there and just explodes people, but doesn't actually explode people. And I'm
And
like,
then in The Witcher, it turns out cats are an excellent source of meat.
yes, he likes to go around just slashing up cats.
There is this one, if you are low on meat in The Witcher 3, there is this one town, or this little village, where its whole thing is goose themed. And so I just went, I know it was cats. There was just,
Cats, and
Cats
geese,
just kept
you
spawning
You
like
get them mixed
crazy.
up all the time.
yeah. Well, there's another town where there's just a ton of geese everywhere.
Okay.
But this one was cats, and I was low on food. So yeah, I went, yeah, anyway,
Anyway,
we digress.
the show asserts that the way you act in a video game is sort of like a telling of how you really are internally in the real world,
Mm-hmm.
despite the airs you might put on or the mask you might wear.
Deep down.
Yes, deep
It's
down.
the sort of place where you, like, when you're playing a game, you kind of let loose your inhibitions because you're not in real life. It's
Mm-hmm.
What you do is of no consequence.
Who
But-
you would be if you had no care for consequences,
Yeah.
essentially.
And sort of there's a degree of anonymity with the game
Because you don't know anybody's last name or where they live, or
unless they tell you.
Yeah.
So some people still feel like they can act however they want, but in this case there are consequences for it.
Mhm.
And kind of the other thing that it begins to establish, and this is kind of built on throughout the series, is that the relationships you form in video games, particularly MMOs, are valid and real and can translate to good real life friendships too.
Yep.
I can personally attest to that. Like, there's people I've met playing games online, and like I've actually met up with them. They've come to Fargo and we've hung out and stuff
That's
with
pretty
our
cool.
group of friends. Like,
Huh.
it's really cool to just random people you met playing League of Legends.
Huh. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. But all the group of friends that they establish in the game, they stay close to each other when they come back to the real world because
Mhm.
they've got this shared experience and
They
understand.
went through a lot of trials together.
Mhm. All right, on to the
Second.
second arc of the show, wherein it turns out that not everybody has woken up from SAO yet. That they know people that have survived that are still unconscious.
Mhm.
I suppose it would be worthwhile to mention that at the end as Aincrad is collapsing after
The
Kirito's
city
won.
tower thing of Sword Art Online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of the big
The
steel
world.
tower world thing.
Yep.
Kayaba gives Kirito this world seed, which is like a program that can generate an entire MMO, basically. And they can be interconnected to each other, anything that's generated from
He's
this
like,
world
I
seed.
like you, kid.
You are the hero of this story, and so I'm going to give you the power to do whatever you feel like. Pretty much.
Yes. To wherever the edge may take us.
So this other game called Alfheim Online is a game that's generated from this world seed. And Aegil, who's one of the other survivors, who's a black man living in Japan.
Yep.
Aegil's cool, but
Mm-hmm.
he runs a bar for some reason,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fun. And all the underage 15-year-olds go and hang out at his bar,
Drink juice.
drink juice. And so he's received some intel from some people that there's a person that looks like Asuna trapped in the world tree of this game.
Top of this world tree in
Yes.
a cage.
And by the way, Asuna is one of the people that hasn't woken up yet.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ah.
So he's like, I gotta play this game.
Put me in there.
So meanwhile, he's going to visit Asuna at her hospital and everything.
Yeah.
And
Because
like,
she's still hooked up to the thing.
yeah, she's still in
On
nerve
life
gear because they don't
support.
want to take it off because she might die.
Yep. On life
So-
support and all that.
They're like, he meets her dad, and her dad kind of likes him because her dad's a derp.
Yeah.
And there's this other guy who's kind of vying for Asuna's hand in marriage
Mm-hmm.
because her dad runs like a wealthy company and they're pretty rich.
Tech
and-
company that did some of the subcontracting for the
Yep.
game company that made the
Sword
Aincrad
Art
world.
Online.
Yeah.
So they're connected to that. And this suitor guy is like, I don't want you to come back here
Yeah.
because I know that you like her and I'm going to kill you because
He's
she's
pretty
mine.
Pretty creepy.
Yeah,
dude.
he's a pretty creepy dude.
He's a very creepy.
So like,
I don't like this.
I wonder if this guy is involved with the events.
I wonder if this guy's
Yeah.
the main villain of
The
this
thing
arc.
about the world tree at the center of this new VR game, well, not VR, but basically VR,
It's a VR
It's
game.
VR.
is the tree is so freaking high, and even though like the characters in this game are like fairies and they have wings, nobody was able to like fly to the top.
Nobody has yet been able to reach that.
Mm-hmm.
So they just have a picture.
Yep.
So Kirito says, I must play this game. So he plays the game, and unbeknownst to him, his sister, who's not his sister, but actually his cousin.
His cousin, adopted sister, person.
Yes, it's
Yes.
complicated. But her name is Suguha,
Mm-hmm.
and she
also plays this.
also plays this game, and neither of them know that the other one is playing this game.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of crash lands in some place that he isn't normally supposed to spawn and magically meets up with her because reasons.
because protagonist.
Because protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
And he magically resurrects Yui from this item. Item Morty. And so he has his AI robot daughter that knows everything about everything.
She's basically,
She's basically
pixie.
Navi from Ocarina of Time.
yeah.
And she calls him daddy because
Man.
she's that part just like throws people for a loop.
The character, like the voice actor, is just like on the near edge of unlistenability for me. It's like, man, I can barely tolerate this for like. Fortunately, she has short lines because it's like for me, it's just like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, she's done talking now. Whew. Anyway, she's got that kind of anime girl voice where it's just like, well, the shivers aren't quite crawling down my spine, but they're getting there.
So they
Anyhow.
meet Suguha's in-game avatar who's called Lifa,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, oh, I am the Edge, and fights off all these people she was fighting.
And given his propensity to pick up chicks
He picks up his cousin
by accident,
by accident.
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't know it.
Neither of them know this,
Yeah.
but in real life, his sister cousin is attracted to him.
Which is,
Alabama 100.
yes.
Yeah.
Haven't we?
So-
I feel like we might have like talked about the fact we were watching this at some point.
I don't know.
Or no, it's just the conversation. I don't know. The podcast and real life conversations get melded together in my
Just
brain.
like
Podcast,
just
you
like
die
the
in real
VR
life.
MMO. Anyway,
Alabama 100. Yeah.
Alabama 100 is the point.
They're just a banjo short from Mobile.
Anyway,
So they're like, I need you to help me get to the World Tree. And she's like, that's impossible, but let's do it anyway.
But that's impossible.
So they go and do some things and make some alliances and fight some bad dudes. And they eventually get to the World Tree.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, this is impossible. We all died. This is really hard. And he's like, not telling Leafa this whole time why he's there.
Yeah.
And she's like, why won't you tell me what you're trying to do here? Why won't you tell me what your business, the World Tree, is? He's like, I gotta save Asuna, as he's just about to go in there. And she's like,
Oh crap.
oh wait, that's my
What?
brother's girlfriend.
what? And then she just freaks out and has a big sad.
Yep.
And then they go and talk it out in real life, and it's all very big and sad. But I didn't really feel sorry for them because
No,
Alabama.
because- yes.
Yeah.
Sweet home.
But Kirito was very nice about it.
It's like
He's
you're
like-
a creep.
It's like,
but
yeah,
that's
this
okay.
happens all the time with me and women that I meet.
Even if they're my cousin.
Yeah. I don't know how things.
There's
work
about
in
4 of
Japan.
them in the other game you haven't met yet.
And so they
They go to the top of the
They
world
go to the top
tree
of the World Tree
because
with the help
protecting
of literally
powers.
everybody.
Yep.
And they break through with some Deus Ex Machina and beat the big bad villain and rescue Asuna.
Mm-hmm. Managed to get her back awake in the real world.
Yeah.
Right, and also expose her suitor for the creep that he really is. He's
And then
Who-
he tries to murder Kirito in,
In
real
real
life,
life.
and doesn't
And goes to
succeed
prison.
because he's a 17-year-old kid who can totally overpower him because he played video games with sword fighting.
Because that's how guns and hand fighting in real life.
he also
work.
had real life kendo training. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough.
But he played it like he played the video game.
I was just like, man,
There
this
was
is
a bit where
remarkably-
his sister cousin is really good at kendo,
Uh-huh.
and they have a duel, and he just wipes the floor with her even though he doesn't practice, and
Yeah.
he just
he was
plays.
using his video game moves.
It's
Yeah.
all quite ridiculous.
It's-
Honestly, there's not a lot of stuff that hasn't already been introduced in terms of thematic material for this arc. It's kind of we're here to rescue Asuna. And
It's a continuation of that.
yeah.
yeah,
it's
there's some
It's
scenes,
kind of an epilogue to the
yeah,
previous.
it kind of is. There's some scenes where he's like really focusing on that who you are in the game is who you are in real life narrative, where he like there's this giant horde of enemy players who's coming after just the two of them, and Leaf
Mhm.
is like, just die, it's okay, there's no consequences, and he's like, no, in real life I would fight to protect someone, so I should do it here too.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. That's kind of his MO. That's how he does things.
Yep.
After that, we move to the Gun Gale Online arc. So, essentially the premise here is that they've discovered that there are some players that are getting shot by this character named Death Gun in the game, GGO, Gun Gale Online, who are ending up dead in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, ooh, spooky. Is this another death game? And the government comes to a 17-year-old and says, hey, we need you to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you would do.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have a team of trained professionals
No.
No.
or anything go
You
in
would
there
have a
and-
trained professional ask a kid to figure it out.
Mhm. And if, in fact, there is the ability to kill people in this game, by the way, it should be mentioned that they've come out with like this new headset
That is
That
not
doesn't
nearly as
that
Microwave your
can't
brain.
microwave your brain.
Yes.
Otherwise, these games probably wouldn't exist.
Mhm.
Right.
So this new headset rig thingy is incapable of doing that. So like he's like, no, straight up, this is impossible. There's no way that someone getting shot in the game could cause them to die in real life. But they're like, well, people are dying, so we need you to go figure out why.
Yep.
So he goes in there and meets this girl named Sinon, who's kind of
Sniper.
She's a sniper lady. It's very good.
Edge lord unto her own right.
Edgelord, edge lady,
Yeah.
one might say.
Yeah.
So she kind of shows him the ropes, and he does overpowered protagonist things, yada yada yada.
Yes.
Mhm.
We learn some backstory about Sinon, that early in her life, when she was a young lass, she was at a post office when it was getting robbed,
Mhm.
and the robber was brandishing a gun about, and she
Bit him in the hand
bit him in the hand, grabbed the gun, and shot him
as a 7-year-old.
as a 7-year-old. Yes.
Mhm.
And so this event was very traumatic for her, and it caused her to develop a phobia of guns. Like, she can't
Mhm.
even look at a finger gun without, like, being really scared and throwing up.
Yeah.
Never mind touching one.
Or
but-
like a toy gun.
Yeah, she nonetheless tries to, like, get over her fear of this and gets bullied over it a lot and
Mhm.
things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But she plays this game so that she can try to get over it. And
Because the whole gimmick of this game is you have guns.
yes, that is the thing. So in the game, she doesn't have any problems
Mm-hmm.
because she forms this sort of dissociation. This isn't real life. This is just a game. So, having guns here is, it's not the same. But she's still doing it for the purpose of trying to get herself to a point in real life where she can not freak out when she even sees a picture of one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So they work together to try to figure out who this death gun guy is, and they enter this big tournament where they know all of the strong players are going to be,
Because
because
this guy had been killing the strongest players.
he's
in the
targeting all of some of the top players.
Just
So,
to make the statement get
To make
the
the point.
attention.
I can kill people.
game. Mm-hmm.
So they figure out eventually that Sinon is one of the people that's being targeted by Death Gun. So they go through great lengths to protect her while also trying to figure out who it is. And they run into him while they're in like one of the preliminary rounds, and he's like, You with that name and your lightsaber skills.
Yeah.
Are you the real deal? He's like, What do you mean? I am not familiar. This couldn't possibly be a callback to something that's happened earlier,
Uh-huh.
but it is. And he like sees that he's got this marking on his wrist from the Laughing Coffin Guild.
From
Dun dun.
Yeah.
From Sword Art Online.
He's a player killer.
He's a murderer. And he's like, I fought these guys, but I can't remember any of their names. I have no idea who any of these people are.
Mm-hmm.
Because as it turns out, there was a raid that they did on the Laughing Coffin people as the assault team
To like try to capture him
and make sure they didn't kill anybody else because they wanted to prevent people from dying. And in the course of that fight, Kirito ended up killing two of the Laughing
stuff
Coffin
went
people.
sideways.
Yeah, they got ambushed and people freaked out, and he sort of lost control. And so he's dealing with a similar sort of deal in terms of a traumatic realization that he's killed people, and he is taken a sort of different approach to it. He's trying to repress the memory of ever having done it by forcibly forgetting who these people were.
Mm-hmm.
So it draws a parallel between him and Sinon, who are both trying to deal with the past of their the weight of having killed someone.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, they get into a big showdown with Death Gun, and they figure out that he's actually more than one person.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they're doing it is they're coordinating it, where when Death Gun fires a shot in the game, there will be someone waiting at their apartment to like do a lethal injection or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as it turns out, one of the Death Guns is one of Sinon's friends,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, he's another stereotypically
He's kind of
creepy guy.
infatuated with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
With her, I mean.
with her. And so Kirito is conveniently located nearby.
Mhm.
Like, he's being monitored through all of this to make sure that
he doesn't get killed.
he doesn't get killed. So they
Yeah.
he runs over to her apartment, beats up the guy, and they win.
Mm-hmm.
Hooray.
Huzzah.
Yes. And over the course of this stuff, Sinon figures out how to deal with her PTSD.
Mm-hmm. And then joins the friend group of people who
The predominantly female friend group.
the all
Yep.
but 3 female, they are all. I think there's like 10 of them now, but yeah.
And then I guess the third arc is where they kind of come across this character who is turns
So
out
this is the third.
The fourth one you
fourth
referred
one.
to.
The final
We're
one.
getting to that. We're
Yeah.
getting to that. There's a little filler thing in there. There's nothing worth talking about there.
Yeah, not really. It's just kind of a fun thing.
It's a fun little adventure that they go and get a cool new sword.
Mm-hmm.
The final arc, Mother's Rosario, is probably my favorite
Yeah.
because it's kind of the most powerful, impactful real world thing that they do.
Yeah.
So
For
they're
one thing-
back in Alfheim now,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this. I don't know that we've mentioned this before, but like Aincrad was recreated in ALO so that they can go and use all of their magical fairy skills to fight in the
Mhm.
old Aincrad.
You could
'Cause-
transfer your player data.
Yeah, because they never actually beat it, so they wanted to actually beat it.
Mm-hmm.
So this strong player named Zekin,
Without
has
being
just-
able to die this time.
without
yeah.
being able to die this time, yes. So this new strong player named Zekin has mysteriously appeared and is like challenging anyone to a duel. It's like, come on, Kamal, fight me.
Mm-hmm.
I am the best. I will beat you all.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone goes and fights them, and nobody can even land a scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Edgelord.
Yeah.
Who,
He-
by the way, is kind of not the main character of this arc.
Yes, he is very much not.
He is just not present for most of it.
Well, he's involved.
He's involved in the background.
He's the
but
supporting character.
It's mostly
Yeah.
Asuna.
Asuna is kind of, definitely the main character of this arc.
Yep.
So she is basically the only one who hasn't fought Zekin yet.
Mm-hmm.
So she is like, okay, might as well give it a try.
Yep.
And goes there and is like, wait, you're a girl? It's
And
like,
you're super nice.
you're a super nice girl, and your name is Yuki, and my last name is Yuki.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's great. So they have a fight, and Asuna does really well because she's really fast. That's her thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
She's also
Still
got-
kind of losing, but
she loses ultimately, but the Yuki is now like, you're it. I know, it's got to be you now. And she's like, what? Like, come with me. And so they have a talk. They're like, this guild of my friends, we all are going to be busy in the spring. We can't play anymore after that. So we want to go out with a bang.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do something really cool that we'll be remembered for.
Yep.
So-
Because there's like this wall of fame or whatever in the
Mhm.
game where like if you beat a boss of a level, then your name will be written down.
But the catch is most of these things are designed to be done by multiple parties.
Mm-hmm.
So in the case that you've got more than one group there, the leaders' names are the only ones on the
Mhm.
thing.
But they
Mhm.
want to
So-
be on there as a team.
Yeah, they want to all be on there. So they're like, we got to do it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all like ridiculously strong. They're not quite as powerful as Yuki is, but they're still all really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
But they need someone else to help them fill out their party because there are only 6 of them.
They need 7.
And they need 7. So they plan a whole boss raid and they do all the legwork and get prepared, and they go and they lose, and they're like, okay, well, at least we know the strategy now. And they come back and someone else has already beaten it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, grrr.
Somebody was watching us secretly do it.
Well, they hadn't
Didn't
figured
know
that
that
out
yet.
yet. But so they're like, all right, let's do it again. So
Mm-hmm.
they do it again. And this
I
time
missed.
they notice a couple people standing there
Mm-hmm.
outside, and it's like, we're going to go fight the boss now. They're like, okay, we're totally not going to spy on you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then they spy on
They
them.
totally do.
And then they come back and beat that boss too.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we figured out. No, I think the second one, they figured out the gig, and they like ran
they
straight
get there
back.
at the same time as this guild.
And the guild that's going to swoop in and steal the boss from under their noses
He's like,
is like
nah, you can't.
approaching, and they're like, yeah, get out of our way. And
Oh.
then the Edgelord and all of his friends show up, and they fend off the other guild so that Asuna and all of her friends
Can get in first.
can get in.
Mm-hmm.
And so they do it, and then they beat the boss, and they're like, hooray!
Yay.
They have a big old party, and then they're talking about stuff, and he's like, Asuna's like, can I join your guild? And
I
then
want to meet you guys in real life.
and they're like,
Uh,
and then they all just like log out and disappear, and she's like,
what?
what?
Did I say something?
And so, except for one lady who kind of explains the situation to her, he's like,
We're all terminally ill.
Yes. Essentially, not all of them are terminally ill, but they're all severely.
Mm-hmm.
They all have. Some of them are. Yuki is one that is.
Mm-hmm.
She has AIDS, so she can't.
From
She got from her parents
yeah,
because
as a child.
she's born with it. Don't make a Maybelline joke.
Continue.
So, yeah. So they didn't want her to get too attached to them because they were considerate of her feelings and that she would understandably be sad that all of her friends are probably going to die soon. And she's like, what the heck do you mean? I still care about you guys anyway, and I would like to spend what little time you have left hanging out with you guys and doing cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And they finally see some of the wisdom in that, and
She goes to,
Kirito
like, the
has
hospital.
this she goes to the hospital and meets her. Well, doesn't meet her because she's kind of more or less comatose.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this big old machine that they're using to like give her life support and also allow her to play the video games.
Like blocks most of the pain.
Yeah,
We're
it's
using the same technology.
and also gives her the opportunity to play. Because
Yeah.
when you're totally bedridden, you don't really have anything else to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you a way to occupy yourself. And so they continue playing a little bit, and they Kirito has developed for one of his classes like this camera that can connect to an interface so that Yui can be in the real world
Mm-hmm.
with them and see stuff and talk and all that. And so that camera can also be used for Yuki to come and go to school with Asuna. 'Cause she's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, is there anything you want to do? She's like, well, I think it'd be fun to go to school again.
Mm-hmm.
So they do that, and it's fun. And then sometime later, like, they get the news that her diagnosis is pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know, she hasn't got very long left.
She's declining.
Pretty rapidly. So Asuna rushes back to the hospital and goes into the game one last time to meet her. And she has this really powerful speech, Yuki does, at the end as she's like sitting there dying. And like everybody in the game gets together to honor her as like the strongest player ever.
Mm-hmm.
And just to pay some respects, press F.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this speech is really quite something. So I'm going to read it to you. You know, this whole time I thought, if I was born to die, then what the heck was the point of me even being born? I never made anything or gave anything to anyone. All I did was waste drugs and hog that machine and make trouble for everyone. If all I get to do is suffer and disappear in the end, it'd be better to just disappear right now. I always used to think, why am I alive? Why did I stick around for this long? But you know what? After all this time, I think I know why now. I might not have done much, but I'm glad I got to live. Because after everything, these last few moments, they're the best ever. I'm surrounded by all my friends, and I got to end my journey in the arms of someone I love. I gave this life everything I had. I was alive. And that's it.
Note that like her whole family had already died by this point.
Yeah,
from
she was the
from
last one
disease,
left among her
including her
family,
twin
so-
sister.
And Asuna's kind of there holding her, so it was a nice, touching moment. And I think, like, it's such a profound witness to life that you don't so often see in any sort of pop culture
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like where she comes to the realization that despite the fact that her life is what most people would consider to be utterly miserable,
Mm-hmm.
she has found meaning in it by relationship.
Yeah.
You know, it's only with her friends and ultimately Asuna who helps her to realize her intrinsic value
Mm-hmm.
and that continuing to live and to fight means something.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the primary thing about this arc that's really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's like I suppose we should finish the synopsis.
Yeah.
Running parallel to this whole arc is Asuna's relationship with her mother, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. I totally forgot to write anything about that. Go on, while I
Because her mother doesn't really see the value in spending all this time in the video game, and also doesn't see the value in her staying with her friends she made in the video game in class. She wants her to be successful and go to a
Work
better
very
high
hard.
school, a real high school, in air quotes.
Be
And
very
she's like, no, I want
accomplished.
to be with my friends that I made in the game. And she's like, how can you make friends in the game? And that doesn't translate. They don't count.
Put on this headset, Mom.
yeah,
It's like,
that's
Mom,
what actually
you
happens.
can't pause an online game. You can't come to dinner.
Yeah, she's like routinely late for dinner, and her mom gets mad about it and all that
Ah.
jazz.
Mhm.
Like mom do.
Yep.
But Yuki sort of teaches her that sometimes you have to fight to make a point, to get your point across.
Mm-hmm.
And Asuna is kind of a non-confrontational with her mom because she's like, she couldn't possibly understand. She's never experienced this.
Mm-hmm.
But she ultimately makes the decision to ask her mom to come visit her world for once.
Yeah.
She's like, this is ridiculous, but does it anyway. And like, they're in their cabin, their nice cozy in the woods cabin, and they like look out the window, and she's like, doesn't this remind you of when you were a little kid
At
at
your
grandma
parents'.
and grandpa's?
Yeah.
And she like has this flashback about her, when she was a kid and all of the picturesque countryside that they lived in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of makes her realize what Asuna's on about. Sort of makes her realize what the value of this game is.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I don't really understand this, but I see what you mean. So I'm going to let you stay at your school, but you got to do good.
Yep.
So it's kind of, they teach each other something, Asuna and Yuki do,
Yeah.
about
Mhm.
their respective situations.
Yep. So yeah, that is what we have seen of this show so far. So I guess we sort of, talked about like the main themes of each of the arcs. I think that
Yeah.
basically covers truths more or less.
Yeah.
More or less, yeah.
I do have a little summary here of
Alrighty then.
firstly, that all life is sacred. This is something that they are very strongly emphasizing in the
Yeah.
way that they approach fights, in the way that they defend people from the murder guilds and stuff in
Mhm.
SAO. No life is worth sacrificing. No life is worth trading for anyone else.
And
Yeah.
that gets special attention when Kirito and has to deal with his past of having killed people, and so
Yeah.
does Sinon. So they have to kind of deal with what's the value of a life, and it's not. And they come to the realization where it's not about. They focus on the lives they saved
Mhm.
over the lives they ended up taking.
Oh, I forgot to mention that. At the end of GGO, they Asuna, being the rich girl that she is, has the resources to figure out where the lady that was at the post office was that she saved,
Oh yeah.
and asks her to come to Aegil's bar, and
The clerk.
the clerk brings her daughter, who she was pregnant with at the time of the attack.
Mm-hmm.
And so Sinon realizes that she saved 2 lives that day,
Mm-hmm.
even though she took 1. And though that doesn't really erase what she did,
And not to mention the people in the post office
yeah,
on top of that.
but she realizes that the lives she saved meant something, and that she was, in a way, glad that it happened.
Yeah.
Right.
And that gives her the catharsis she needs to overcome her PTSD more or less.
Mm-hmm. The second main theme that we have touched on a lot is who you are in the game is who you are out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That is very thoroughly explored and emphasized.
One of the
It's-
core themes of the show, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that I have long espoused and encouraged other people to as well, James.
I-
I don't know what you're talking about.
You've never played Just Cause. Anyway.
I mean, I habitually bury James's dogs when we play Minecraft.
Yeah.
But that's yeah.
Well, you wouldn't bury dogs in real life.
No, I would mess with James in other ways.
Yeah, if I ever had a dog, I would.
Keep
You
it
wouldn't
far, far away from you. And finally, that the relationships you form in games are real. And
Yeah.
they are meaningful. And ultimately, they should translate into real life friendship.
Yeah.
Because if you're, a game is not a perfect medium. It is a medium, but it is no substitute for real life.
You have to be able to encounter somebody in person to truly encounter them.
Right. And so they take that lesson to heart, and they meet up in the real world regularly. And I mean, it sort of helps that they are going to the same school because of this incident, but at the same time, they make an effort to be friends with each other in real life too.
Yeah. So I suppose that basically gets out of the truth and goodness
Yes,
bits.
that's the truth. And
Beauty.
Well animated show.
Yeah.
It's also like,
As animes go, it's pretty well done.
it's got a very bright, with the exception of GGO, and we'll get to this in the Unity part, because
Yeah.
the aesthetic is totally different, and I get it, but like,
Well,
yeah.
it's an American developed gun game, so it's
Yeah.
got to be all grays.
it's a very charming, enchanting world. Like
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
it's very
Fantasy.
bright color palette, fantasy sort of colors and building structure and environment and stuff.
all that stuff.
And so it's got this, charming feel to it.
And you can actually taste the food in the game.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
one of the ways that Asuna and Kirito grow closer to each other is because
Is
she's a
Asuna's-
really good cook.
Yeah.
She's the best cook in the game, and they find this super rare meat and they make a soup out of it and have
Yeah.
a date and all that fun stuff.
Mhm.
Yep.
But yeah, food is good.
Yeah.
And I think the character design is one of the other
Yeah.
beautiful elements of it. Is
So much.
apart from the Edgelord,
I only work in black.
who
Sometimes
only
very,
we,
very dark gray.
we call him the Edgelord because he always wears black.
He's got black irises. He's got black hair and always wears black clothes.
Mhm.
He's just black.
And there's one bit where he's like out of his element because he's forced to join a guild.
Yeah. When he loses to Heathcliff in the first arc, he has to
has to
wear
wear
this
white
white
and
uniform, white and red. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, people's costumes are all relatively cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, some of the female designs are a bit much.
yeah,
in the
they're
much,
a bit much.
but-
They're a
Yeah.
bit much.
but overall very good.
And for that matter, the cinematography can be a bit much. It's like
Yeah, there's
that's-
like that shot
it's
was
like,
not
there's
needed.
no-
I
way.
get that you're lying prone, getting ready to take the shot with the
you could
with
do
gun,
over the
but
shoulder, but you chose to
pull back a little.
yeah.
So yeah, there's a little bit of muchness there.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of much.
Yeah.
As far as the Unity goes, apart from GGO, it's all a cohesive fantasy aesthetic. Of course, it's a totally different feel of a game, so it's kind of like
Yeah, it goes from
black
sorta-
and brown and yuck. I don't like it, but
Mhm. Well, and the arc is kind of outside
it's like that.
yeah.
They all support the individual arc and story that
yeah.
all
Right,
of the
the-
environments are trying to facilitate.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, is that
I think that about does it.
let's get off this bench, Forrest Gump. Thank you for watching. That's all I have to say
Watching?
about that. Huh?
Watch.
What I
Watching?
Oh,
We are an audio.
You watch
podcast.
podcasts.
Thank you for watching this show. If you
I-
watch it,
thank you for listening. If you want to follow us on Twitter at Palapapis or Facebook.
Maybe watch us there. I don't know.
watch us on Twitter. Watch us on Facebook. Watch us on our website.
Watch us on our email.
Please don't.
Please don't.
You know how. For the love of all that is good and holy, please don't. But yeah, feel free to follow us and share the podcast with others who may enjoy it. Spread the good word and our podcast. Yeah, we will talk to you again next week.
Yeah.
Very well. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.